All right again, folks. Barber Allen here, Wild and Woolly Wordsmith. Back again. What is it, the 27th, I think? Your pandemic update, which I've sorely neglected. Sorry. Okay. wildandwoollywordsmith.com, barberallen.wordpress.com. Let's talk about hairdressers and getting your hair done and why that's such a big problem. Well, I can tell you why. Because and you can see it in popular culture and popular movies recently that kind of, well, should have shown it to you. Most people didn't get it. Most people didn't see the underlying message to the movies like Barbershop and Barbershop 2 and such. But the barbershop and the hairdresser is one of the few places that is still absolutely segregated in this country. Absolutely segregated. Black women can't they have their own special stores to get their products. And you go to a hairdresser, a white woman hairdresser, and she will simply just claim ignorance, never having learned it. I don't know how to do black hair. I don't know how to do. Well, guess what? You didn't know how to do white hair before you went to school for it. Okay. And again, if you watch the movies, white people seem to have absolutely no trouble learning how to do hairstyles for people with much, much, much curlier hair. It's doable. They refuse to do so. And perhaps cosmetology licensing is a place where we need to address some of this American racism. That perhaps you shouldn't be able to get a cosmetology license if you can't work with all kinds of hair. What kind of fucking hairdresser are you? If you can't work with all kinds of hair, you may choose not to, but you will learn how to. So that if a customer comes into your shop and needs that done, and your boss says, "Hey, it's on you. You know how to do it. You should be able to do it." It shouldn't matter. You shouldn't, I don't want to touch her hair. It's, well, then you shouldn't be a fucking hairdresser. Hair's hair. I mean, toenails are the same. You don't see the people doing the manis in the bed. Well, again, we relegate that. Let's say, we make little Asian women do our feet. I mean, look at this, princessa. You got a white woman in a shop. She's got Asian women doing her feet and her nails. Maybe an Asian woman cutting her, but generally it's white women cutting her hair. And you got to remember, again, I'll use barbershop as an example. The barbershop really is a place where, there's a lot of socialization and a lot of friendship, and you and your friends go to the same barber, and the cutting heads and insults, good-natured insults and cussing and blah, 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 that does happen. And in the hairdressers, the lady shops, there might not be as much cussing, although there certainly is some. But the same kind of things happen, okay? And that's part of the nature of making you pretty. I mean, and helping you get your look and helping you put your best foot forward. And that's part of the whole culture of it, making some me time and blah, 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 dee, 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 dee. Okay? But it's not about me time. I kept looking at this hairdresser thing and wondering, what the fuck are they really, do middle class women in this country really think they're that fucking ugly that we've got to get the hairdresser open before people stop dying? We've got to. I don't care. People can die. I must get my hair done. No, it's one of the last vestiges of where you can go, where a white woman knows she's going to go to her hairdresser and there's not going to be any black people there. And it goes the other way too. Black people go to their hairdresser knowing full well, not that they plan to not have white people there, but they know full well it's just not going to happen. And so it becomes a comfort level. A little less, they eventually comfort themselves into a similar kind of insulation. But look at it. That is a place where nobody's arguing. You do not see black women walking into a Supercuts or into a foofy salon in the up in the Beverly Hills and demanding that they cut their hair. And not taking the excuse, "Oh, I wasn't trained on that. I don't know how to do that. I'm not sure. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I refuse. I reserve the right to refuse your service based on the fact that you're black." Ah, and you can get away with that in the hairdresser. Try doing that in the shoe store. Can't fucking do it. Okay? Try doing that in the clothing store. Can't fucking do it. But it's absolutely acceptable to segregate at the barbershop, hairdresser, salon line. Now, yes, there are multicultural salons out there. I'm not saying that they aren't out there. But it's absolutely socially acceptable to have a whites-only salon. You don't have to have a sign up. All you have to do is watch the customers. Watch the black women walk by that place and go to a different hairdresser. Okay, watch them refuse to serve those people because they don't feel like they're trained well enough. Okay? That's the reality here. That's the real complaint. That's the real complaint. These white women are pissed off because one of the last places where they could go and not have to deal with any black folk at all was the hairdresser. And now they can't even go there. Where the hell? Because that's where they used to meet up and talk in ways that you can only talk at the barbershop. Remember those? You can only talk like this at the barbershop when you're amongst people that think the same way. White women do that too. And the hairdresser is where they can sit there and say all the things they want to say and have no fear of retribution or somebody of the other color or somebody who's the victim of their slurs hearing it because they're not allowed there. Why? Because nobody's trained to cut their hair. So when you hear these white folks getting all pissed off about not being able to go to the barber or not being able to go, and it's mostly women who want to go to the salon, get their nails done, it's because that's where they talk their worst. That's where their honesty, their racism, their bigotry, their hates, their pettiness, all of that comes out in the open there. And they can let it all go and they can compare notes and not feel so bad about it because all these other white women that are just like them feel the same way. And they are now being told they can't do that. They can't go there. They can't go to their barbershop. Okay, so those of us, or those of you, like I'm in a number of minority communities, and I really don't qualify as a member in any of them, and I really don't care. I'm me. But for those of you who understand the insulation of your ethnic barbershop, and how you can talk there in ways that perhaps you wouldn't in white company or in other company or amongst women, that white women do that too, and the barbershop is where they do it too. And not being allowed to go there, it's just like the restaurants. White folk are finally being told that they don't get to be, that they're not welcome inside to eat. It used to just be black, brown, and Asian people that were told they had to get their shit to go and eat outside. But now Karen can't sit down and make the waiter go get her a new fork because this one's got water spots on it. Karen can't do that. She's got to eat off plastic forks in her freaking car like everybody else has for 200 years in this fucking country. Not in the car, obviously, but for 200 years. And go out and sit and eat it on the fucking curb if you got to get food there at all. You know, if they needed the money bad enough to take your money to give you food, you still didn't get to come inside. Well, now it's that way for everybody. And the barbershop is part and parcel of the same racist serve me thing. Only there's more of a social gathering, more of a social need to be amongst your own pretty white women with Karen haircuts. And when you're being told you can't go hang out with your white women